Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Health Files with Dr. Miles. I am here, as usual, with my co-host and researcher, Katie, and board-certified physician, Dr. Sean Miles. Today is an exciting episode, and we're actually foraying into the video realm.
Oh, yes.
Adding a whole new aspect. We just kind of decided that...
People just want to see your face. That's what it is.
Tanner, I get requests all the time. They're like, can I see Tanner's face?
Well, and
not just his face. I want to see his bod.
We're leaving a lot of sex appeal on the table by not having my face available to the viewers.
So here you go.
So here we go. So what are we talking about today?
I tell you, I've gotten a lot of requests in the office about talking about a ketogenic diet.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that ketogenic diet. I was at a wedding not too long ago, and I bet you we all as a group spent 20 to 30 minutes talking about this ketogenic diet. I know there's been a lot of documentaries that have come out on it, singing its praises, not only for just the ability to help people lose weight, but also for like remedying major diseases like Alzheimer's and brain degenerative type diseases.
We've done an episode before where it was used for Alzheimer's and showed some benefit.
I was talking to one gentleman that was actually on the ketogenic diet, and he described almost like a butter coffee that they're drinking, where it is like
I've heard of that.
A mixture of like salted
pure
butter and coffee, and they drink that as part of the diet. Now, I feel like, and I could be way off base, but when we were drinking butter coffee, I feel like it's taking every conversation we've ever had about moderation and completely tossing it out the window.
That's kind of like the keto diet.
The keto diet is excess in and of itself.
Taking everything you've heard and throwing it away. It was almost 100 years ago somebody came up with this keto diet. So I think we ought to define it first.
The keto diet is actually aimed to put your body into ketosis. And ketosis is when your body uses ketones as an energy source. So the body usually uses glucose as its main energy molecule.
So sugar.
And the goal of the ketogenic diet is to eat such low carb that your body starts using its own fat reserves as an energy source. So it uses your own fat reserves as energy so that you can lose weight.
Now, isn't that similar to what occurs in starvation?
Yes. So it's just a very low carb diet and high fat, and you get moderate protein.
I remember when the Atkins diet first coming out, everyone coming to me and being like, yeah, it's the best diet ever. I ate a plate of bacon for breakfast. I had a
Loaded
steak
up
for
with
dinner.
Nitrites.
Yeah, and I'm losing weight. I'm just dropping weight.
Yes.
So is the ketone kind of similar to that same principle?
It's very similar. It's more strict, though.
Okay. Now, wasn't the big knock on the Atkins diet, though, the effects it may have on like heart disease by taking in those high levels of fat?
That was the fear.
Now, is that same fear associated with the ketogenic diet?
I'm glad you asked that. There's a lot of people on the internet that are saying this is great for you. We've got these studies that show we're actually improving heart health. Look at the cholesterol levels, look at people's weight, look at people's body mass index and waist circumference, and they say this has got to be good for you. But we have some studies that show that maybe that's not good in the long run. In the short run, yes, over 3 months, people lose weight. Their numbers look better. Over a year's time, things seem to be more stabilized, and it really don't have the same heart benefit at that point. In fact, we have some studies that show detriment.
It only seems natural that when you're taking in something in excess, no matter what it be, whether it be sugars, fat, or anything, when that's becoming the primary source of your diet, it just seems like there would naturally be some negative side effects.
Patients ask me about it. I tell them it's okay in the short term. If you want to do it for 2 or 3 months just to help you lose weight and kind of get things started, that's fine.
Now, if the goal is to eliminate sugars, I don't see where adding vegetables, adding your broccolis, your dark green leaves, where that would be a detriment to the ketogenic diet and why that couldn't just be a natural part to help maybe offset some of the...
It could be, but...
And it should be.
Yeah, but I guess the carbohydrates, even in the small amount of carbohydrates that's in those vegetables, it adds up. I think one probably downside to the keto diet is a lot of people will say they're doing the keto diet, but their body isn't actually in ketosis.
We're throwing around the word ketosis and ketones a lot, and ketone bodies. Katie, can you tell us what that means? What is a ketone body?
A ketone body is a small organic molecule that is released into the blood that's made from breaking down your own fat reserves. And the body uses it as an energy source in place of glucose.
let me ask, I mean, when we talked about and I know I'm keep tying things back to the Atkins diet because I'm just more familiar and there are so many similarities, but I remember the big knock on the Atkins diet was, okay, it worked great for 3 months. Everyone would shed this weight.
Yeah.
But as soon as they stopped,
Yeah.
it just came right back.
Right. Yeah. And that's the problem with diets, because these are just temporary diets that people do when you need to make pure lifestyle changes. And so your diet ought to be something that you have every day the rest of your life. And that's why I think we should eat healthy diets that are not just ketogenic diets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think long term that they're the best for us. And we have some studies here to support that. And there's one article that I was looking at earlier that somebody said, oh, you know, the athletes are promoting this ketogenic diet to help improve performance because it's really going to shed the fat, put on the muscle, and get things going. But actually, athletes, while they reported that they felt okay and even pretty good on this diet, that their exercise performance, especially with intense bouts like weightlifting, like maybe Katie might do, there were actually performance decrements where their performance went down while they're on this diet.
I've spoken to too many people that have sung the praises of the ketogenic diet.
Everybody's an expert.
Yeah, so it's got to have some benefits. So what is kind of the research saying as far as the benefits of the ketogenic diet?
There have been several studies that show that if you compare a ketogenic diet versus, say, a low-fat diet, that for weight loss, it beats it. There's definitely some benefits in the short term for weight loss with this ketogenic diet. I'm a big proponent of eliminating sugar and starch from the diet, or at least cutting back. And so I think if you can get those things from a natural plant source, you'll be in much better shape.
Another study showed that there's actually improvement in cardiovascular disease risk. So there's a decrease in obesity, which with the weight loss, that makes sense. Improvement in type 2 diabetes, increased HDL cholesterol, and decreased total cholesterol.
So we've got a lot of different studies and reviews that we've sifted through for our listeners so that y'all don't have to do it. The information that Katie just presented is exactly what people hear and people want to hear, and they say, hey, let's do this because it's going to be healthy for me. Unfortunately, we have plenty of studies that show long term it's not good for the heart. As you get into the 3, 6, and even 12-month time frames after being on this diet, all those positive benefits except for the weight seem to disappear. Here's a study here that looks at the effect of high-protein diets on coronary blood flow. That means the flow through the arteries to the heart. So if they're obstructed, then you can have a heart attack. And so they looked at this to see what is this high-protein, low-carb diet going to do. And it did not have good benefits on the vessels themselves. So I think short-term wise, it may reduce your risk of heart disease, but long-term wise, it appears to be detrimental. Now, there have been lots of studies look at this. Some show slight positive things for heart disease. Some show slight negative things. And others, I think, that, overall, the things that we've looked at show an overall negative for heart disease in the long run. In the Annals of Internal Medicine, they looked at a low-carbohydrate diet like a ketogenic diet on overall mortality. And they've studied these people for 20 plus years. So that's a pretty long study on a diet like this. So what do you think it showed, Tanner?
Well, I think it's common sense. If you're drinking butter coffee every day, but over the long term, I just can't imagine it being good for you. And I could be wrong on that, but that's just my gut.
Yeah, it can't do good things for the body. I mean, think about it. If you're drinking butter coffee and eating a plateful of bacon every day for breakfast.
Oh, that's how I envision heaven. I mean,
a low carbohydrate diet, if it's based on animal sources like animal proteins, meats, and fats, and things like your butter, was associated with a higher all-cause mortality in men and women, and that included both increased cardiovascular risk, so heart disease, as well as cancer. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to die of cancer or heart disease. And this ketogenic, low-carb type diet is actually doing that. However, what they found is if you do this and get your low carbohydrate diet based on vegetables, you actually had a much lower rate of mortality. And your rates of heart disease, cancer, and other things went down. That pretty much sums up everything right there. And the more I looked, and Katie and I looked into the research of this, that was the general consensus that we found. So yes, there are some positive studies showing some benefits cardiovascular-wise in the short run. But long term, it does not show that.
So let's kind of summarize what we've walked away from with today's lesson. We've definitely learned that while the ketogenic diet is good when used in the short term, And possibly even long-term for neuropathologic diseases, it may not be a good fit as a long-term diet option or something that you want to do consistently in your life. And we've learned that there's no denying that limiting carbs and sugars can be beneficial, but by doing that, you don't necessarily want to replace it with bacon and pulled pork as your primary source of nutrition. And we can't emphasize enough that we have talked over and over about how a diet that is rich in plant-based foods can not only be healthy from a weight loss standpoint, but they can also be beneficial from a reduction of cancer risk, diabetes risk, heart risk, cardiovascular disease. There's just too many benefits to really subscribe to any diet that doesn't subscribe to them. You've been listening to Health Files with Dr. Miles. We hope you enjoyed it and were able to learn about achieving and maintaining good health. Subscribe to our show and hear the latest and greatest in the news of medicine and health. This show was hosted by me, our co-host and researcher was Katie, and of course providing medical expertise we have Dr. Miles, board-certified family physician.
As always, we are here for education and entertainment. You should take our recommendations not as specific medical advice, but as powerful knowledge to review with your own doctor, since you as an individual have your own unique health issues and needs.